Morning YouTube, how's it going? Haven't made any videos in a while and definitely haven't live traded in a while, so I'm going to give that a shot. I'd gotten away from live trading because I felt like I was holding trades longer to get the win, since I knew it was, people were watching and wanting to see results and stuff, and that's just, not the right way to approach it really. But now I'm having the opposite problem. I'm cutting trades early, so I thought maybe I would give this a shot again and just try to stick to my rules. I think it's probably easier to do with an audience. So hopefully, if I set a target, that's where I'm going to go. If I set a stop loss, that's where I'm going to go. And we'll see how that works. But PMI is coming up in about 7 minutes. So I'm not really doing anything right now, just kind of waiting. I've got my ranges set up here for what I need for liquidity to be taken. Pretty big range between Asia and London last night. It dropped a ton, so I'm not really looking to take anything unless it drops below here and comes up, or depending on how it moves up when it gets up here, if it comes back down. And it kind of depends on what PMI does too. I mean, I could consider these places as legs of price that could possibly use for up and down if it breaks those highs, but I don't know. I just want to see how energetically it moves. So that would have been if not for PMI, that might have been a loss right there, because it had come down here, taking all this liquidity, and it came up with a big impulse move, created a fair value gap, and it still might hold. I mean, my stop would have been down here, so you never know. But I can't really trust anything right now. This was last night's action right here. So I took this move right here, expecting it to go down, and it did. There wasn't much of a market structure shift, but I saw this right here, take out this low, create the fair value gap. Or was it this one? Yeah, it was this one. No, it was this one. No, I'm not sure now. I'm confused with this. It's easier on TradingView to kind of tell, but anyway, so I came back down, and when it got back up here, I was basically just going to take a break even or a small loss. And then I got it back in and rode this down quite a ways. I mean, I had my daily goal easily right here. And then I second guessed myself, and I was like, I bet it's going to drop down here. It hadn't confirmed in the DR yet, so I was expecting it to drop down and confirm. It actually never confirmed last night, which 96% of the time it does. So that was sort of a shock, but it is what it is. Anyway, as you can see, I called the bottom pretty good, got out. Then, I saw this big move. I saw the market structure shift, saw the displacement, fair value gap, all that, and I got back in and rode it all the way back up here to pretty much break even with my previous gain. I felt like this was free money, so I would have got out a lot sooner if not for that. If it was my initial trade, I would have cut it, with a reasonable stop loss, but I don't know. I'm trading micros right now too. I sized down half for today because I had an amazing week, and I don't want to get overconfident and give a bunch of it back. So if I just get a base hit to end the week, that would be fine, and I've already got half of it. So I just need, not much today, and I'll be fine. And then here's what's funny. This is the story of my life, my trading life right here. So then I see what this was now. Here's your consolidation, manipulation, distribution, right? AMD. And I knew that when I saw it start dropping back down. I recognized it too late. Excuse me. Anyway, I got back in on a move right here. Same kind of situation, displacement, market structure, semi-market structure. And then when I got down here to around these lows, I started thinking, I'm just going to get out. And I got out, and look what I missed. So that's what I mean. I got to stick to rules. I'm getting in the habit of taking these exits too early. And I guess part of it is because I'm using the multiple accounts, and it adds up fast. So it may not be a lot of points, but to me that's $500 right there on these 10 accounts. So when I see a good chunk of money there, and recognizing that it's times 10, it's more tempting to just get out. So I got to fight that, because when I lose, I don't do that, right? When I lose, I take the full, the full hit. So right now I've got a good winning percentage. I'm a little over 70%. But if I, the couple losses I did take were big, because of that same mentality. So I feel like I need to let these run and get the win so that, the RR is, works out, because 1R, that's a hard road to go right there. All right, so lots of action here. 2 minutes for PMI. Definitely expect this to be broke, and then we should maybe get some retracement. But over here on this screen, I've got all my lowered targets on the 5-minute chart. So going way back, I don't know, a week or a little while before the big run up, the big bull move not long ago. Here's some fair value gaps down here. There's an order block down here. So it's got to cut through quite a bit. And then here's just a couple short-term lows that, like I said, they go way back to here. So back to the 12th, approximately, yeah. So we'll see what all that does. And then here's what I'm looking at on the higher time frames. So right now we're digging into a 4-hour fair value gap, also an hour fair value gap, and we're coming off of a daily fair value gap. So, this one's about to hit too, so it's getting close. Definitely thinking bullish here pretty soon with the way this has dropped. Get some kind of a pullback maybe over this. I don't know. The range overnight was really wide, so I expect some of that to be taken back. So we'll just kind of look for that as we're considering possible silver bullet moves or what have you. I've got that in mind too for the DR IDR. If it confirms to the top, then that would be a good sign for a good move up. And I'll kind of watch to see what happens with that and let it help me determine my bias. All right, 1 minute. 1 minute. All right, there it is. I don't even know if I'll touch this before 10. If I don't, I'll pause the video and just start it back up when I'm getting closer to seeing something I can take. But yeah, these lows are definitely, this is going to get taken. I couldn't see why not. But you know how the market is sometimes. I get caught every once in a while just with the blinders on, thinking, waiting for something to happen like that, and then it runs off the other way. So really for them, if they get it close, they did their job. There might be a little liquidity down here, but they popped all this already. So that's kind of the way I look at it. They don't necessarily need to take this last little bit to do whatever it is they do. And there's a lot of times you'll see it drop back down, but because of an order block or a fair value gap, it doesn't take the very, very lowest part. Now there's none of that here, but I've noticed that a lot of times it'll dip into the order block, take off. Well, when it does that, it didn't take that low, the low of the order block. So not much of a move, really. I mean, and I don't think PMI is as big a deal as, NFP or FOMC, stuff like that. So this might be all we get. But so on the 5 minute, I've got the fib set up, and I just keep dropping it so I can keep, my 50%. Here's what it looks like for the 50%. Right? So there's the range. Here's my middle and upper. So I'm not going to take any shorts below the 50, and not going to take any longs above it. And I say that, but when it's this big of a range, I mean, there's 25 points from here to here, so I just have to kind of see what it does. I mean, if I can get a small risk trade with a potential, 22 moves up, if I think it's going to, depending on the time of the day and what have you, I would get in it. So I don't want to say I definitely won't, but this is what I use for a guideline anyway. Yeah, okay. Wouldn't be surprised if it comes down here. This is, there's liquidity down here too, so we're not just talking about this. There's some good old liquidity right there under those blue dotted lines. And we just barely tapped into those fair value gaps on the 4 hour, and we touched it to the tick on the 60 minute. So, and what's challenging is when you're trying to use the higher time frames, when you have, you know, arrays below and above. So we're also in 15-minute fair value gap on the upside and a 30-minute fair value gap on the upside. I would think that the higher time frames, you know, hold the prominence over that, but I've seen it go both ways, so it kind of makes me hesitate a little bit, I guess. So I just kind of wait and see what I see on the 1 minute chart. If I get the signals that I need, then you can get analysis paralysis, looking at, you know, all the time frames and trying to figure out what's going to hold and what's not. So I use that for a guide. Sometimes it makes it easy, and then when it's challenging, I just stick with, you know, what's on the chart in front of me and trade that. Like I've got my ranges here. You know, it can move quite a bit in a 4 hour fair value gap. In fact, like 20 points worth over here, and quite a bit on the hour also. Yeah. All right, so lots of wicks right now. Yep. A lot of indecision among the buyers and sellers. Isn't that that's what I used to say? They can't make up their minds. Well, I don't really hold that line of thought anymore, but all right. All right, so this is just kind of sloppy. I'm going to pause right here, listen to some music, and when I get a chance to get close to a trade, I'll pop it back on. All right, so still just kind of chopping around back and forth. The higher it moves up like this, though, the more I'm thinking that I might take a short before I got to my halfway on the fib. There's definitely 10 handles to get back down here to take this sell side, so if it keeps going up here like this and it does make that, you know, impulse move down with the market structure shifts, I'd probably get in, but I won't know until I see it. So that's just kind of what I'm thinking right now. I wish it would make up its mind. Honestly, I could close it up for today and still be happy. Like I said, it was a great week. About $500 today towards my valuation. So, you know, just trying to get base hits and taking baby steps for the most part. Let's see if I have my thing here. Kind of show you how I'm keeping track of all this stuff while we're waiting. Yeah, so I started June 8th. And here's the format I'm using to track my daily progress, tell me if I stuck to my plan or not. Way too much red here, but you know, what do you do, you know? And I've got a pretty narrow range of criteria that I have to hit. So for me, if one of them isn't on point, then I call that a no, even though I might have been profitable that day. So, you know, like I didn't stick to my plan here, but it was over $3,000, so it worked out. My daily goal to hit the challenge in the amount of time I set is $790, and my actual is over that, so I'm on track. And that's counting I count this day as a trading day, so this hurt my average, but it is what it is. I'm up about a little over 11 grand, and nice win percentage. So I'm feeling pretty good about everything. That's why today, like I said, if it doesn't want to do anything, I'm fine with that. I'll just close it up and start fresh on Monday. I already, like I said, cut my position size in half just to sort of regulate my enthusiasm a little bit. I'm really just shooting for, you know, I like to hit double the goal when I can to make up for these days that I probably won't be able to trade. But if I just hit that goal every day, then to me that's a win. And then here is my trade details for each individual trade. Again, just sort of, this is based on my back testing template. So I'm using the same type of template for my actual trades to make sure that what I tested that I found success with is also what I'm following in my trades. So I don't want to back test something and get one result and then just sort of go willy-nilly and you know, not keep as accurate of records as I can to know when I look back to try to find my mistakes or, you know, what I did differently than what I did in the back testing. And then here's the plan. Here's daily notes on the trades, and then I'm doing sort of a reflections at the end of the week to tell me, you know, how I felt, what was good, what was bad, what I need to do, all of that. So lots of green. Yeah, I'm really happy with that. I had a nice little run here, and then you know, I keep the images over here so I can always go back and reflect on this and sort of take this stuff apart. You know, I think that's really one of the keys, is really getting to know what you're doing, get familiar with your data, and be able to, you know, root out your weaknesses. I say it's like a game of inches, and the margin of error is slim. So every time you can eliminate a mistake, or you know, find something in the market that you can anticipate or turn to your favor, you know, to me that's building your edge. And then from all of this, I create a lesson list that I use to sort of reflect on, you know, things that I notice that I'm doing wrong, or things that I see that I can do better. I go back through this. I'm keeping track of different things. You know, like I said, just trying to eliminate mistakes and find any kind of little advantage that I can. So far so good. Apex just put on a 90% sale, 90% off sale for July 4th. So I'm probably going to get in and grab a few more accounts. I'd like to space them out a little bit so that when I pass, I'm not having to pay, you know, the lifetime fees on all 20 accounts. But eventually I'll have 20 accounts. So I'm thinking I'm going to add 5 and just sort of keep the same exact plan that I have now. I'll pass the first batch about the same time, since I'm keeping them all together in my trades. And then the ones after will just be a little bit behind, which that's fine. So if we take this swing out right here, that would be a good sign. But there's just so much of this that I don't feel like it's normal circumstances. You know what I mean? I mean, the PMI, the really choppy price action, I feel like I'm going to hesitate here. But, you know, that's what I need right there. There's the market structure shift. And there's about 10 points there. But it's kind of weak. It's technically it meets the criteria. So we'll see here. We'll let this candle close. See what the other one does. I kind of hope it's just sort of a breakaway gap and I don't even get a chance, because then I don't have to make the decision. But my stop would be 93.50. I'd have a 4-point stop. But, you know, with 5 micros, that's really only a 2-point stop. So probably worth, you know, taking a chance. I'd like to see it drop down and come back instead of doing this right here. Yeah, I think I feel the hesitation here. See if it closes this gap. Because to me, that could just as easily be, you know, a little Judas swing. I really like to see the candle that creates the market structure shift be the one that has the fair value gap in it. So had this candle come down here, I'd have been more inclined to take it. I mean, technically, this is the model. You got a swing low, swing high, takes out that, but the fair value gap's already closed. But really, I mean, if it comes up here, you know what? As closer as it gets to the top, and the less risk I have to put on, I'm thinking about taking this. Like when it gets right up there within a couple ticks, I might just try to snatch a top right here. Like I said, technically that meets the model. But it could also blow through there. So, you know, decisions. I definitely believe it's coming back down though. So right here is where I should just take a shot.
Order filled.
Right, so 2 ticks above. If I get stopped out, I get stopped out. See what happens. I won't feel bad about that if it goes against me. I'd like to see it fill this gap. I mean, technically, that's my daily for the day right there. All right, so break even.
Order filled.
All right, so got my daily goal. That's almost $1,000 for the day. If it dumps, that's fine. That was I guess a real low risk, medium probability trade. Just because this isn't normally what I see when I take these kind of trades. So, but yeah, I'm fine with that. That's great. And I could go to bed right now and be happy. Now, if it drops from here all the way down here, I'm going to be a little irritated. But hopefully you see the logic of what I was doing here. I mean, my model says that this is technically an entry, but I had hesitation because of the way it got there, I guess. And all this up and down, all these are displacement candles. All this is big move candles. So it just didn't instill a lot of confidence in me. And I wouldn't have wanted to mess with a bunch of sideways stuff here. So I'm still looking for my original plan, and when I see a nice high probability trade, I'll take it. Keep an eye on the IDR, DR also, what it's doing. It seems like it's, floating towards the upper half, which it's rejected several times off the middle here, which usually that's a sign, it's going up. But again, because of the circumstances of today, you just can't call it the same way. I can't anyway. I'm too green at this, but here we go. Look at this. Here we go. Watch it. I said I was going to hold myself to my rules since I was making the video, but again, it's an imperfect science. It's easy to say one thing and do the other. I kind of want it to come back up and take this out now, so I don't feel as bad. Is that weird or what? So it's sort of a weird situation. I want my model to be proven wrong so I can be proven right. I don't know if that's the right way to think about it. I'd rather see my model play out for future confidence. I've noticed this plays out in the most, just about any circumstance. I mean, it doesn't matter what the price action is. When the market structure shift happens, the fair value gap's there, and you've got some room, it's really, really high probability. So, honestly, I think it's going to keep going down. But at the same time, I wasn't willing to take too big of a chance on it. I wanted to get my daily goal under my belt, and then look for just something really high probability afterwards. We still got 30 minutes. Wait, what time is it? Yeah, we still got. Wait a minute, it's 9. Oh, I get messed up because Tradebait they're an hour off, and you can't change it to New York Standard or New York time. So yeah, we still got 30 minutes for the silver bullet. So if I see something juicy, I'm going to jump on it. I'm getting a lot of rejections right here. Sure does look like it. wants to dump. And you got all this, I mean, all these swings, that's where the liquidity is at. But you're also building a nice top up here, so probably comes back, it's going to go one way and then the other, most likely. It's going to come up, take this, and then drop, or it's going to goof around, come down here and take all this, and then, work its way through lunch and then PM session, take the top off. There's only, a few scenarios that I think are the most repeatable. If I really trusted it, this would be a good place to jump back in and do it again, right? See if it takes this top. This is the swing that I was expecting to hold because of this scenario. So a lot of times it literally, I've been within the one tick. I think I started going 2 here recently. 1 was holding. I think I got stopped out once with 1 tick, and I was like, you know what, never again. I'd rather be up, 2 ticks and get stopped out than I feel like it went a little higher anyway. And plus I'm dealing with the micros, which sometimes that's a tick difference than the ES contract, so that's probably a good idea to approach it that way. So we want to see this fair value gap get closed up. That would be a good sign for the downward direction. Yep, there we go, good. So that's positive. And the more it does this, the more likely it is to jump up here and knock this out before it goes back down too by a few ticks. So it has different profiles when it comes up and just spikes. If it would have just dropped from here and then made a fair value gap, that'd have been a lot cleaner. But you can tell it's building liquidity up here, right? It's stepping it. So here's liquidity, here's liquidity, here's liquidity, which just makes it a stronger target for a return up here at some point. Now, whether or not it comes down here first and then comes up, or does it induce people to go long and then dump on them and chop them up? That's what you have to kind of always, I'm always trying to calculate, which one is it going to be? And, at the end of the day, you have your model and you trust it and you go with it. And if you've back tested it enough and you've got the results you want, then there's nothing else you can do, I've been kind of reflecting on that lately. Just in situations where I've done everything right, I stuck to my plan, I followed the model, and everything's right. If I lose, it's really nothing. I mean, there's nothing else I could have done better. Even the best lose, so it just is what it is. But I don't want to be the reason why I lose. You know what I mean? Doing something, that's not according to the plan, or stupid, or greedy, or whatever. If you eliminate all of that stuff, man, it makes such a difference. And that's why I started tracking everything I'm doing. I want to know when I'm exhibiting those characteristics so I can, kind of get a handle on it. And seeing it, in journaling and in the spreadsheets that I'm keeping, things like that, makes that stuff jump out at me. And it's on my mind while I'm trading now. And since I've really been paying attention to it, I feel like my trading's gotten better. A few months ago, I would have went and tried to get 725 to get an even $100 here, which is just completely ridiculous. I don't know how many times I did that and, paid the price for it, just trying to scalp something. So I don't do that anymore. I'm learning that it's okay to be satisfied with your results. You don't have to be happy about them. You know what I mean? If you're not excited and, trying to high five somebody, that's not going to happen all the time. Some days you just have to say, you know what, I either hit my goal or I recoup some losses. Find things to be positive about. Here, I'll show you while this is doing this. I had a horrendous day right here. I just built up a little bit, took a loss there, kind of got it back. I was up, but then this hit me, and I was like, oh man, I was defeated. But I took a little win the next day. Then that brought me into the one trade range. 1 5-point trade with 10 accounts is $2,500. So I got within about one trade of recouping it. And then the next day, I took another big chunk out of it, and I felt better because I was moving in the right direction. And then then I had a nice little run here, and this is today. So if I don't do anything else, this is going to be 900 something. So that was a good lesson, because I didn't try to jump in there and get it all back. I didn't size up. I didn't change my strategy. I didn't change my plan. I just sucked up and basically said tomorrow's another day. And for me, that was a big step, because it wasn't long ago that I was doing the exact opposite. And I went through quite a few accounts when I was getting these at 90% off and grouping them up. I was I was YOLOing just like crazy, and I was there'd be days I'd make a bunch of money towards the evaluation, but there were other days that just chopped it up. So that's when I really started to focus on the process, and I'm giving myself, according to my plan, 38 trading days just for 50K accounts. You can pass them in a few days, you can pass them in a week, whatever. But for me, since I'm using the multiple accounts, I know how much I need to quit my job. And this is pretty much it. If I do this on a daily basis and just hit this amount, and naturally, I believe I'm going to do more than that, but this is the minimum. If I just do that, everything takes care of itself. There's not as much pressure. I'm just looking for base hits. I'm looking for small moves. I'm going to try to take the big ones when I can get them, but I'm not going to, fight the market to try to take stuff that's not there. So since I've adapted that mentality, a lot more at ease. Little wins turn out to be great days. If I have a $900 day, if these were my accounts, this would be a legit $900 day, right? I mean, it takes a little longer to get to the payout at that rate. Say I try to make $3,000 cushion and then a couple thousand before I get a payout or whatever. But at 10 accounts, the payout's going to be 10 grand, and do that every couple months. Yeah, that's it. That's it for me. So yeah, I'm okay with this. I wouldn't have wanted to fight, this back and forth. It wouldn't have been worth the mental drain. And what I've gotten to start doing here lately is when I get in a trade, I actually walk away for 10 minutes. Or when it's getting close to my stop, I'll just walk away. I'm not going to sit there and watch the candles go back and forth, because it's just, I still deal with the anxiety of it all, and it puts me under pressure that's unnecessary. So I clear my notifications on my phone. I go outside, and just relax, get some air. And after 10 minutes or so, and this has happened several times here lately, my phone doesn't ring, it doesn't beep. And I'm like, okay, it was pretty close to my stop. It's been 10 minutes. And then when I come back in, I'm in profit. And it's like, holy cow, that's so much easier. And if it hits, it hits. It stops me out, I get stopped out. But I didn't sit there for 10 or 15 minutes fighting it and, getting mad that it's, back and forth, won't pick a direction. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but this right here, if I'm in a trade, oh man, I'm just like, oh yeah, oh no, oh come on, yeah, oh no, and that's not the way you want to do this. You'll cut years off your life if you trade like that. So I'm sure people that are seasoned and been doing this a while, they've got their emotions in check. But I've just now passed my 1 year anniversary for trying to trade, so I've got a long way to go. And again, like I said, I wouldn't be crushed if it came up here first. But at the same time, I want to see if the model holds up. This would have been my spot right here. That's a good thing too about using the multiple accounts. Okay, so there I would have got stopped out. So now we get our move up, maybe. Is this it? There we go. Took out all that. Let's see if we get a fair value gap. Yep, gonna get a gap. I usually go one tick up for the limit order. But I want to wait until this candle closes. I started going one tick up for the order because there's times when it actually comes within one tick and then just turns away and runs 15 points. And I'm sitting there, then having to second guess what's too late to get in. If it breaks my model or my plan, it just causes me to hesitate. So, yeah, see, that's why and I don't even know that I would take this little thing. I mean, it's 2 ticks. I'd like to see it close it, honestly. I don't want to have to make the decision. Come on down. Let's drop all the way back down now. And that could very easily be the inducement, right? To then come down. So I really have to be careful here. There is a fair value gap there. But it's just so teeny. Again, to me, this isn't the ideal way to utilize this model, even though we're in the right time frame and I see what I need to see. I'm still really expecting. Usually when you get a liquidity raid, it goes away and it doesn't leave all of this down here as such a appealing target to come down and take out. So I'd be surprised if this is the bottom, because we know the market doesn't like to give up money, and all these people that went long down here are going to get paid big time. So I expect it to come back down, tap all this out, goof around a little bit before it makes a move up, if it does. So that's sort of why I didn't take this right here. Let's see what it does. I think you have to adapt your model to your circumstances. If you try to cookie cutter something, I don't know that that's the greatest way to do it. But again, whatever happens here, I'll journal it, and I'll know for next time kind of how, what happened, what I was thinking. If it doesn't come down here and get this, then next time I see this, I won't be inclined to believe that it has to. But right now, I feel like this is just too much liquidity to run too far off to the upside and leave down here. And it could come back, I'm sure it'll come back, but I just don't know if it's going to be now or PM session, or it could be London tonight. We don't know. But that's why I'm not getting in right here. We'll see if it was a good decision. So my stop would have been 96.50, probably down here, maybe 96. So I would have had a full 5-point stop to come down here. Actually, a little more, because I would have went a tick or two below it. So to feel safe, I'd have been way down here. I know there's others that say, they use like the third candle. So, that would have been a little less if I went that way. But I don't know. Lately I've been getting good results with using the swing. Swing point below. I've had it come back, really close to my stop a few times, and it ended up being good winning trades. So that's sort of coloring my thinking right now. And over the long term, that may not hold up, but like I said, for right now, that's what I've been seeing. So that's kind of how I'm approaching it. Now, if I lose, 5 or 6 like that, and I could have saved myself, then I'll revert back to something else. But for right now, it's been successful. And this isn't really what you want to see on a silver bullet. I mean, when you get the displacement and the fair value gap, normally, it's going to rip. And I've done some back testing on that and saw, like, I keep track of, which candle actually comes back in and retests the fair value gap, how many candles it took, and if there was a deeper retracement. There's been a lot more deeper retracements lately. I know when I back tested this before, it was one candle and gone, and it didn't come back up into the range. So those are the ones I call those just easy winners. But seeing this here, that's definitely not an easy winner. And we'll see. I can definitely see it tearing up from here. Maybe got a little gap here. It didn't really create any throughout all this process, none to speak of. I mean, this one, but we knew that wasn't gonna. We knew we weren't gonna take that. That was before PMI, so. So I feel like I made the right decision here by getting in and going real low risk. Now I have to try to judge whether I made the right decision here on this little fair value gap. And really, honestly, it only takes a tick or two to be considered a fair value gap that works. And surprisingly, one or two tick fair value gap still holds up. I mean, it's not really size dependent, but because of all this chop right after the fair value gap, to me it just doesn't seem high probability. So I'm not going to try to jump in right now and hope. We're obviously right back into a consolidation, trying to develop a flag. It's going to rip one way or the other, but I'd be guessing right now. I got a little bit of confidence on the upside, but that's sort of balanced out by all this liquidity down here, so it's just not worth it to me. And kind of, putting that thought into it, I know why I'm getting into the trades now, why I'm not. So I'm satisfied with my decisions. I feel like I'm making logical decisions about why I enter or why I don't enter. And if I feel like there's a good reason not to, then, if I go against that and the trade goes against me, then I kick myself. So for me, a lot of the psychological aspect of it is to not do things that add guilt to my thought process. There's enough, going on. You don't need that added weight of doing things that are stupid or doing things that are against your gut feeling or whatever, because then all I do is say, man, I sure knew there was a good chance it was going to do that. Why did I go against it? I'll tell you why. It's greed. If you go against your gut feeling, when you got kind of an idea how the market works and you go against that, that's just trying to take a shot, in my opinion, and taking shots is just from greed. So I'm not a shot taker anymore. I'm trying to be methodical, mechanical, make good decisions. I'm sure anybody looking at this, if ICT saw this, I don't know if he would have got in right there. You know what I mean? I think he'd probably be thinking, look at this. I mean, the market's coming back down here at some point, and you don't know when. So it's too close to a huge pool of liquidity to try to go long right here. I need to see it step way up, get some distance, already take this out would be great. In fact, if it came down here and then push to the upside, that would be such a positive sign. I could deal with it leaving some behind, but I got to get down below here before I would feel confident, taking it long. And we'll see what it does. So if we get a close below that, you can see how it's respecting it. I mean, it's definitely, this little bitty gap is in play. The algorithm knows it's there. But if we get a close below it, that's definitely a bearish sign. When it pauses like that, always makes me think it's going to go. So I would have been down here somewhere with my stop. I would have survived the first drop, into here. Maybe it comes down here and reverses. Maybe it ticks one tick or so below here. But there's still all this over here. So, I don't know. And it might just do that. Right? So I still would have been safe. Still would have been a good trade. But now we've got this potential fair value gap forming here. And not really... I guess there's the right market structure shift terminology or way to look at it, and then the one I use. So a lot of times I'm just looking for it to take out a swing with some kind of displacement. Actually though, to me that didn't take it out, so I don't know. But in my back testing, I use just pretty much swings rather than, technically this would be the swing because this is the low, this is the high. So you'd have to get up and then back down for it to be a market structure shift, according to ICT and a lot of others. And that's probably the highest probability. But again, I've just had such good luck or good results from just taking the trades on breaking the swing, fair value gap, nice little displacement candle, that I've sort of convinced myself that for me, for right now, if it's working, use it until it doesn't. So down the road, after 100 more trades, I'll have more information to work with. And if it looks like, if you win 10 in a row but then lose 30, that's not sustainable. So that could happen to me at any time doing this, and I know it. But like I said, I'm going to wait until I get a few losses under my belt to reevaluate that and just keep doing what I'm doing. So we got 9 minutes left in the silver bullet hour. And generally, I'll go outside the silver bullet hour. I've had success doing that too. I've even taken it during lunch. There are times when the market makes these ridiculous moves when you least expect it. I mean, Asia last night. Look at this. Asia doesn't normally do this, right? This would have been a killer IDR trade, DR trade right here. I looked it up on DR Lens, and for the confirmation time and everything, this was pretty much perfect retracement. And then wow, right? So, and I don't normally trade Asia, ADR, but I'm kind of limiting myself. It's not as maybe high probability, but if you're using you've got your plan and you follow it, and the percentages for ADR are often just as high as the other sections. So, whoa. All right, so glad I didn't take the long. I would have got stopped out on the short. So far, I'm doing okay on my decision making and my gut feeling. I'll put it like that. But we don't really have 10 handles anymore, do we? It's close. I mean, if it comes back up to here, that would be 10 handles. But I don't know how much of this I want to see taken. And you've got this humongous bullish candle right here. So just a tricky day, tricky day. And since I've already, I'm trying to protect this. In my mind, preserving capital now is job one, right? It's Friday. I've got a win under my belt over my daily goal. I can't trade again for 2 days. And for me, that's a big deal about how my weekend goes. Unfortunately, I'm still, I don't know, not as evolved as far as how I handle the wins and losses over time. I like to go on Friday and have a win, have a green day Friday. And that might cause me to hesitate a little bit too, but like I said, just being up is the goal. So if I start trying to play games with, well, gee, if I, hit $2,000 again today, that's double my, triple my daily goal. Well, that's why it's called a daily goal. If you're not going to try to at least factor that into your thinking, then don't call it a daily goal. Just call it a, whatever. This is what I like to hit. But if it's my goal, it's my goal. So I'm already at my goal for the day. So I would really have to see something just clean, spectacular to really get in and take it. And I feel like with what we're looking at today, those are the right decisions. I've been on point for these last two little things. So if it comes back up here and taps this at 93.25, just a hair under 10, to get to this low, but so far below my midpoint, you know, I don't think I can justify it. Normally I want to be above the midpoint and have 10 handles. So I'd be breaking one of my rules if I took a trade short right here. And I'm not going to do it. If I was up $3,000 or something, I'd risk a few points maybe, because I'm pretty certain it's working its way back down here. But, you know, you can be certain about a lot of things with the stock market and come up short. So I don't place an overabundance of confidence in my, you know, analysis yet. This is all still new, but it's slowing down for me now, and that's helping quite a bit. So been watching some good videos, been, you know, back testing stuff, working on stuff. You know, I'm kind of in between with ICT and M7 right now. I'm just kind of working both because of my hours. I'm working 5/12s most weeks now, which cuts right through New York, or cuts right through Asia and London, and then I'm sleeping in New York, sleeping during New York. So not a lot of opportunity. So I'm trying to take what I can get, you know. So we did have a confirmation on DR lens. Let's go look at that real quick. RDR. And I've been talking too much and wasn't paying attention to what I was doing. We got a long confirmation at 10:35. So 7 to 8. This is kind of sloppy, but it's already down to what? It's already come down to between 7 and 8, which was here. And just real quick, on a false day, let's see what the max extension is. So on a false day, max extension tends to be higher than it went. So not looking like a false day. We got a big fair value gap right here forming. Go back to true. Sometimes this works hand in hand. I mean, the retracement comes down, and then you either hit some type of PD array, or you get a silver bullet coming back up. So I'm all about keeping my options open. I think both of them are amazingly accurate and proficient with what they do, and I don't see a reason to cut one of them out for the sake of being a fanboy, or I'm on this team, or whatever. I'm trying to do this for me. So I'm trying to take the best of both worlds. And a lot of times that first hour where we don't really do a lot, you know, you have your advanced trades, and a lot of that works hand in hand with ICT stuff. So I'm trying to get better, just whatever it takes. So let's see. Haven't hit 0.5 yet. So yeah, so maximum retracement 11, 11, 15. We're at 10:55 right now. A lot of times I don't even put the boxes on here because it's easier, it's less time consuming, and I'm able to just kind of look at it and know, you know, where I'm going to take my trade at. So take a look at DRIB real quick. So maybe halfway up into that fair value gap, and then turns back around. Still think we're targeting this before a big move up. And then this is the new indicator that they put out that gives you the weekly DRCs and the lines. So if you have that, you know what I'm talking about. If you don't, it's hard to explain, but it definitely gives you a more visual way to kind of see what the market did in the past and where key levels are. So I'm really looking at this balance right here inside of fair value gap, also with a previous DR middle. So that's a strong confluence right there to say that it probably turns back around. I'd be surprised if it closes above that. Maybe get some wicks. just barely tapped it. Higher time frame, we're coming out of that 4-hour fair value gap, and that's the bullish one. And then also on the 15-minute, we're coming out of this one. So we dropped out from there. This is money right here. These 15-minute gaps and order blocks, I'm really starting to look at those as ways to kind of jump the market every once in a while with some low risk, because I find that it's pretty accurate. And then in the 60-minute, right? So we popped up, and now you're bearish over here, you're bullish over here, bearish over here, bearish and bearish. So mostly bearish for right now. Alright, so that's, I can cut the other stuff off now, because I'm basically just going to use that fair value gap as my point of interest, and know that there's other stuff attached to it in there, but I'm trying to keep the chart as clean as possible. But that looks like, that looks like a definite turnaround. Well, we'll see what it does. I'd love to see a retirement setup. When you go to look at the false day data, you can kind of get an idea. So it's 82% true, and false. So 2, 2, 2, 6, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So basically once a year you get a false day. So that's also high probability then, because this isn't going to be the day. But yeah, if it gets down here, which that would work really well with taking out this liquidity. It could even wick down here and take out a little bit of the sell side and still give you a full retirement setup. So see what happens. If we close above this, then that's a good sign it's bullish. And if you put a fib on this right now, oops, wrong fib. I got different fibs for different kind of. So yeah, we pulled down right where you want to be for a reversal. Close that fair value gap. And now let's see if we get, here's where it gets tricky. You're in this fair value gap here on the minute chart. I don't see any kind of displacement candle. Nothing here to really get excited about. A one tick fair value gap right there, but didn't really come with any kind of a shift. So yeah, this looks like just a little pullback and then on its way back down. And still haven't closed above this one yet, so we got a minute and a half. If we don't get a close above that fair value gap, then most likely this was just all fakery. A nice little bearish wick there. Oh, I don't know if I can play that on here. If this would get me in trouble with the video or not. Whoops. Alright, so looks like this fair value gap held. So this would have been, possibly a good entry, but it was just too close for for comfort for me. But that's definitely the reaction you want to see, when it comes back up into it. If it doesn't take this out up here, then even if it closes, your stop's going to be up here or, up here. So this signature is powerful. Now this is kind of questionable, I guess. You count that as a part of the market structure shift when it pushed back up like that. I think in some of my back testing, I kept track of the third candle, whether it was, bearish or bullish in accordance to the direction that price was going, and then how that affected the later result. And I found that you're less of a probability for success when you get this candle right here as your third candle. So it would sort of be a throw of the dice for me on that one. You still have the market structure shift, you still have the fair value gap, but this almost looks like a better chance that it's going to head the other way than normal. I like to see this as the third candle right here, something like this that just pops up a little bit and then comes down here and closes like that. That's the one that's, to me, just has dollar signs all over it. So we closed above this. No, not yet. We didn't. Let's see what it does. Alright, so we're still in this fair value gap. 3 minutes and something to go. We'll find out if this was a reversal or a pullback. I mean, there's 5 points from here to here. So if I'd have took this as a DR trade, I mean, I target 5 points either way, and then I look at where it's at. So if I get my 5 points, then I'm deciding either to keep my stop, up under there somewhere, or just take the trade, take it out. That 5-point philosophy for right now is because of the apex drawdown. It makes it a little harder for me to take, really solid IDR trades, because you often let it ride and then come back expecting it to. It's still going to be a winning trade, but on those occasions where it doesn't go your way, you pay for all that drawdown and it goes against you. So when I have a cushion and I'm using my money, or if I'm on my cash account, then I'll take the DR IDR trades as normal trades and just get to break even and hope for the best. But right now I'm trading these apex accounts, so that's why I've been a little less active on the DR IDR scene. But don't count me out. I'm definitely not giving up on this stuff. I'm still keep my membership up to date. Glad to see the updates to the indicators and all the new stuff that's coming out. I wish I could catch the live streams. I feel like I'm falling behind because I'm just not here. I'm either sleeping or and now I don't know how many live streams behind. So I know I've missed a lot. I'm kind of weak on their terminology and their approach from frame to be able to take the advanced trades before confirmation. But I feel like that balances out with what I have, from other knowledge. I'm still taking those trades in this time frame. So it's not like I'm, wasting the whole hour. For me, I guess it's an advanced trade with a little different mentality. But if it works out, it works out. That's really all we're looking for, is winning trades at the end of the day. So, but I see people killing it, and I'm definitely excited for them, and it builds my confidence in the overall strategy. I'd love to just be able to master both of them. I don't think you can have too many tools in your belt. You know what I mean? The market's going to do different things. There's going to be different characteristics, different circumstances. They may try to rub some of this stuff out someday. We don't really know. I mean, I don't see how they could. I've thought about that, and I'm just kind of rambling right now because price isn't doing anything. So I could either pause it or just kind of talk to y'all and have conversation. But I was thinking about it, and if the market's being manipulated and moved like many of us think, and kind of controlled by an algorithm, it has a purpose. It has a time frame that it's trying to capture so much liquidity, fill so many imbalances. It's all about being precise and efficient. And in order to try to stop a single strategy or two from being as effective, then they give up on their efficiency and precision that they've so finely tuned, and adapted it to make them the most money as possible. Now, suppose we get in here and we start taking out a few million or whatever. Is it really worth it to them to go back up and fill these fair value gaps as opposed to leaving them open and going the other way? No, because every time they do that, it takes them more time to get down here to where the liquidity is. That's where their money is. Their real money is down here, not trying to keep a few thousand retail traders from taking partials or whatever. And a good portion of us, even if we're adapting the strategies, we're still not wildly profitable. We're still learning. We're still making other mistakes that is causing us to not take as much money out of the market as we could. So when I look at it from that perspective, I'm pretty confident that they're not going to try to overturn this stuff because, they've already got it working so well for them. And there's millions of people pouring money into it. I think it would cost them more in lost money to go after the money that we're taking out of the market, if that makes sense. So, this is what they do is very precise and very effective. They generate liquidity and they come get it. And trying to stop us would slow that process down. Now, whether it slows it down enough to the point where it's not cost effective for them to try and undo it, then, that's kind of where I think where it's at. So it doesn't mean they won't, doesn't mean they can't, but if I was in their shoes, that's the way I would be kind of approaching the question. Every time they have to do something to slow our strategy down or make it less effective, they're also making their own perfect strategy less effective because they've been working at this a long time. It's perfected. It's doing just what they want it to do, and so really there's a sort of a okay. Love you too. Bye. My wife heading out. So there would be a trade-off for them to try to alter the process and the way the market moves to eliminate any one strategy or approach to getting money out of the market. And if what they're dealing with is already perfection in their mind, then it becomes less perfect. And by how much we can't, there's no way to say. But if you think about it along those lines, every bit of time they waste is a batch of liquidity they weren't able to get to because they had to go back and retrace a little deeper, try to catch our stops, whatever it is. If they change it because of us, then they're also hurting themselves. So it's sort of like taking off their nose to spite their face. So I'm pretty confident that this stuff keeps on working when I think about it like that. Well, this is really just doo-doo right now, man. We're 10 minutes after, I don't know, let's see, I don't know how long this video is so far. What are we looking at? Where's my timer? Oh, over an hour already. Alright, well, we'll give it a couple more candles and see what we get here, and then I'm probably going to shut it down. This is just a really, really, trashy looking day. And I'm not going to fight to, try to get money out of it. I want to at least be able to take a better trade to have something to, show you, but it is what it is. I'll probably try to do a little bit more of these just for the reasons that I talked about. Some accountability. I'm less likely to do something stupid with all of you watching, all 10 of you watching. But that's the way I think about it too, is when I'm trading by myself, I'm not as adherent to some of my rules and mostly cutting early. I mean, I'm doing good as far as entries and what have you, and timing the entry, but man, I get out early, and that's part of the way they design the market to move is to run you up and down through your stop or through your profit, through your entries, and they know where we get in. A lot of times they've put this under a microscope. They've got thousands of people making millions of dollars putting this stuff together, and I'm sure they probably do, focus groups and strategize in ways we can't even imagine to try to understand how people are trying to attack this market. So, yeah, there's a lot going on. So we got a little 5-minute fair value gap right there, but it looks like trash on the 1 minute. So I don't even know where they get that from. If you look at the previous few candles, how that's a 5. Yeah, it's gone already, so that didn't last. But I'd love to see it just come down here and just smash through this. Maybe come up, smash through it again, and then I would be all in. Because that's the perfect perfect approach using this model, I think. Come down, take liquidity, pop back up. You always got to factor in the inducement, manipulation, things like that. Pop through, pop back down, maybe take this, and then there's not much left until you get down here, which is another, I would definitely be seriously looking for a trade down here, a lot more than I am up here. Because again, all we're doing is we're just creating liquidity here, How are we looking at volume too? Volume is just really petering out. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to shut this down and maybe do a PM session in a couple hours, try to catch the after lunch move if there is one. Yeah, that'll do it. So have a great day, and if you catch me in the next one, I'll talk to you later.